Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about how much credit card debt I was able to accrue or have or get into. So if this video is interesting to you, please stay tuned to see what my credit card debt total is. So I recently pulled my credit report. I over time forgot how much credit card debt I actually had, but I know my credit report was a great place to look at how much debt I accrued over time when it comes to my credit. So on your credit report, you will usually see the lowest to the highest amount of debt you accrue over time on that credit card. So I basically went through all of my credit card accounts, highlighted those, and kind of figured out what my number was in the amount of debt that I accrued over time. So I am not excited about this, but I'm also still proud of myself for actually getting this part of the debt journey done, which is paying off my credit card debt and being credit card debt free. So over time, I was able to acquire 18 credit cards. So this probably started when I was a freshman in college. That's the first time I got a credit card. And it was given to me as a way to say, hey, if you want to buy a couple things that you need for school, use your credit card to do so, and then pay it off at the end of the month or pay it off over time. I never grew up with the practice of paying off debt every month or having a zero balance every month. And I wasn't taught the habit of how to use credit cards in a healthy way. So I definitely can say that I didn't have a roadmap to do this. So I basically did this any way that I thought I knew how, and it wasn't productive and it wasn't the best. And that's why I had so much debt. And that's why I was so comfortable with having 18 credit cards. So imagine 18 credit cards, and it ranges from a credit card from a Visa or MasterCard to a store card to a shopper guide card over time. So it's the catalog cards. So over time, those were the credit cards that I could get and could afford, and I would always be taking a chance to see if I qualified, knowing that I didn't have the money in the first place to even pay it off. But again, that just speaks to the habit of never having the tools to really know how to use credit card possibly. So what are some of my credit cards that I've had over the last 10 years, and what are some of those that I accumulated? So I had Chase, Premier, Credit, Capital One, Target, Citicard. I'm looking down at my paper. New York and Company, credit card, Capital One again, because once they give you one, they can give you another one, so you can have more than one. So you can have Capital One, and then you can have Capital One Silver, a TJ Maxx card, a Credit One Bank card, another First Premier card, an Old Navy card, a Bank of America card, a Kohl's card, a Lowe's card, a Banana Republic, and probably a Gap and a Gap card. So Banana Republic, Gap, and Old Navy are one stores, but I still got cards from each of them. I know it wasn't smart. I know it wasn't the right decision to do, but I did it. And again, this is just speaking to the bad habits that I had over time. So what is my total number? From Chase, I amounted $1,681 worth of credit card debt. First Premier Bank, $132 worth of credit card debt. Credit One Bank, $1,618. Target Bank, $1,992. Citicard, $2,059. New York and Company, $59. Because at that time I was wising up. Credit One Bank again, $1,155,000. TJ Maxx, $365. Capital One Bank, $1,163. First Premier Bank, for $420. Capital One Bank again, $1,258. TJ Maxx, $231. Old Navy, $196. Bank of America, $838. Kohl's, $237. Lowe's, $1,066. Banana Republic, $548. And Gap, $983. Totaling the exact number being $16,556 worth of credit card debt. So I'm smiling now. I'm only smiling now because I paid it off. But I spend a lot of time amassing that amount of debt, paying it off, and putting it back on. So I can bump up a couple more $1,000s on this to say over time it might have been $20,000, because I never fully paid it off, and it doesn't account for the interest that I actually paid on these credit cards. So over time it probably would have been estimated $2,000. So what have I learned from this experience? So I've learned from having so many credit cards and so much credit card debt that it's not essential and it's not necessarily necessary in order to live. It was a lifestyle choice, and I wasn't taught the best habits of how to manage credit and credit cards. So I incurred those credit card debt out of just not knowing. I know better now, and now I'm also teaching my kids how to be better at managing their funds. So one of the biggest lessons is to teach your children about financial literacy, teaching them how to use money wisely, and maybe not how to use credit, but more so how to save. I'm so much more excited about saving money than I ever was before, because I can see my money grow really fast with the line of work that I'm in and the income that I'm making now. Back then, I wasn't making that much money, and I needed to lean on lenders to help me have the things that I need. So I was borrowing money maybe to buy furniture, I was borrowing money to buy clothes, I was borrowing money to buy some of the big expensive items in my household, but I couldn't necessarily afford it on the income that I have. So reasonably and realistically, I should have never had this much amount of credit card debt in my life because I had none of the means based on my income to pay for it. And so when you have the option to get credit, I would also advise folks to say, even though you can, it doesn't mean you need to. You don't necessarily need credit cards to function. But if you have a great way of using credit cards, you can, whether it's using it to earn points, using it for travel rewards. But if you have the habit of closing it out each month, it's not a bad thing to do. But if you don't have the habit of paying it off by the end of the month, then that's the bigger issue. And that would lead to the interest payments, holding on to debt for a longer period of time, and not being able to live a better means of life because you're just worried about the expenses that you have. The other thing that I learned about this credit card experience was being ashamed of the credit card companies calling me and knowing that I don't have the money. So I was ignoring a lot of calls because what am I going to tell them? Yes, I'm going to pay, which I'm going to lie about. And then they're going to expect to come out of my account and then they'll call me again. And then I would incur some late fees and I would have missed payments, all of this absolutely affected my credit score and my credit history. So now I am more confident to pick up the phone. And back then I was also confident in picking up the phone and telling the credit card companies, I don't have it. And I can't afford to right now. And it's better to settle, make a payment arrangement or something like that, than to live with the anxiety that you are dreading to picking up your phone, you're dreading to know who's calling, or you're around your friends and they're seeing you ignoring your phone and you're asking why. And it's because a debt collector is calling you. So I grew out of the feeling of being ashamed, and I grew out of the feeling of hiding from credit card bill collectors. But that also came with me starting to practice what my debts are and what they look like. I also learned the importance of auto pay, even if it's the minimum. I knew back then I didn't even want to give the minimum, so I was letting stuff go over past due 30 days and so forth, and that just has a negative impact on your credit score. But even if you try to pay the minimum, at least after this, then they could say your account is still in good standing. And you might not be chipping away at much of it, but at least they can still say, like I said, your account is not delayed and it's not going to have a negative impact on your credit score. So even for the bigger accounts, which ask for the minimum payment, I just got in the habit of saying, give it to them until you can pay it off. Pay that little $25, $50, $75 a month until you have enough set aside that you can close out that account and to satisfy the debt and pay back what you owed. I also learned that there's a responsibility to pay back money you borrow, and you can't hide from the creditors knowing that you actually borrow the money from them. So being accountable to yourself is to say, you know what, I did borrow the money, I did use the money, and I did indulge in it, whether it's to pay for something you need in the household or it's to pay for some clothes or whatever. So you have an obligation and a responsibility to pay that back. And that felt good over time to be responsible in that way. So for those things, I've learned a lot from having all this credit card debt and also having to juggle so many payments a month. The brighter side came when I had less and less accounts due on my monthly bills or my monthly budget, and I can cross off an account and say, you know what, that's not going to come back next month because I paid it off the following month. That feeling felt so good to just say, hey, it's not going to come back. It's not going to come back. And I went down from having 18 credit cards to 12 to 10 to 2 and now to none. And that's a great feeling to have. And over time, I also got proud of telling people my credit card story, of saying how much, I've had a lot of credit card debt, but I am so proud that I got it done. I took care of it. I paid it off. So that's another factor of saying, hey, it's a good experience to have the opportunity to pay off that debt and to tell people, hey, I've been where you're at. I'm at where you're at. Or I've learned from this, and they can also say, I've also learned from this too, that, you can share with them that there's a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to paying off this debt. And there's a light when it comes to being credit card debt free. The next benefit that I got from paying off my credit card debt is my credit score increased. And it only increased because I did keep those accounts open, and I allowed the balance to sit there as fully paid, and I have that credit available to me. So I'm wiser now that I'm not going to somehow run up another $16,000 worth of credit card debt, and having credit available shows other folks that you really need to borrow from when it comes to like buying a home, that you have a healthy habit of managing your money. So now I have, where I had a credit score of 608 last year, I now have a credit score at 718. So I increased my credit score by 110 points by paying off my credit card debt and bringing it down to zero. And that was also due to the habit of making my payments on time, and that was due to paying off my credit on time and having better credit history. So the credit history that I had in the past over the last 7 to 10 years is no longer there, and it's reflecting the better credit history because I was smart enough or wise enough to make the minimum payment to keep my current card current and in good standings while I figured out how to pay everything off. Another thing I tried, and I think it was a lesson learned, was to do these quick credit card recovery programs where they said that they can help you, file claims to remove things off of your credit card. I did go down that road just to start, but I stopped, and in the midst of me stopping, I did experience some fraud on my account, and that made me suspicious. But it also told me, and from that experience, that you actually did incur all these debt, you did have these missed payments. So to try to refute this in any way, it's not going to help the matter. And you should do the hard work. I was telling myself, you should do just the hard work of actually paying off that debt versus trying to get a quick fix. And as much as these programs do work, I just decided that, it was kind of sketchy for me, and I wasn't as comfortable with the experience as I thought I would be, that I wouldn't continue, and just to continue on the same program that I was doing with just paying off one credit card at a time. The other thing that I did when I was paying off my credit card debt, I decided to do the snowball method versus the avalanche method. And that method worked for me because I liked little bursts of encouragement throughout this long process. I know the avalanche method would have had a quicker turnaround because I've gotten rid of the heavier load of the debt faster. But for me, paying off one or two credit cards in 1 month was rewarding, because I could say I was chopping down from 18 to 15 in a lot faster, and then from 15 to 12. So the reasoning for doing the snowball method versus the avalanche method was it was a little bit motivational to have that format than doing it with the other format. So I know the snowball method is when you take the lowest debt and pay it off first, and then work your way up, adding to that minimum payment and paying off the next one until you reach the highest one. And the avalanche is when you pay off the highest debt, or maybe the highest interest, and you work your way down, and that would give you a bigger bite of combating and preventing interest charges, or paying off less interest. Thank you for tuning into my channel and hearing how I paid off $16,000 worth of credit card debt and what I learned from the experience. I hope this video was informational to you, informative to you, and that you found some tips. Let me know in the comment box what tips you have learned on your journey to becoming debt-free, credit card debt-free, and living a freer lifestyle without debt. My tips were just some of the tips that I took away from the experience of saying, hey, I no longer feel this way, I no longer practice these habits, but I'm also proud of myself for doing this. So let me know in the comment box what tips that you've taken away from this journey so far in becoming debt-free and in paying off credit card debt. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you like content like this about paying off debt, debt-free journeys, fitness journeys, and all things Sam I Am. Have a great day, everybody.